Hello guys and girls, how's it going? Scareezilla here, and I hope you're all well, and you join me today in the Graf Spee. Yes, the Admiral Graf Spee, the German Tier 5 premium cruiser. I got this little baby on special actually. And we are in Operation Raptor Rescue. Now it looks like we've got a pretty interesting setup for the game here. We've got a Ryujo aircraft carrier. We also have the Warspite, Bayern, and the Fuso, the German, British and Japanese battleships, as well as a Russian cruiser, the Budyoin. So, the Graf Spee, one of the Deutschland class cruisers, the Panzerschiff, or Deutschland Panzerschiff, which was basically a armoured ship. Now, the Deutschland class is one of the most famous, we'll go with famous, classes of ship for its destruction of merchant vessels. These were some of the most feared merchant raiders in pretty much the South Americas. The Graf Spee and her sister ship, the Admiral Scheer, were responsible for over 150,000 tons of Allied shipping sunk. The Graf Spee was 50,000 tons of shipping sunk, with the Admiral Scheer sinking a further 100,000 tons. I think it was 120,000 tons at the end of it, if my memory serves me correctly. Very, very deadly ship. These ships absolutely caused havoc in in South America. Now, the Deutschland class cruiser, which one of them was actually called the Deutschland, which was later renamed the Lutzow. It was renamed the Lutzow, which was actually a. Now, do we want to fire off at the cruiser, or do we want to fire off at that destroyer? Let's see what this Furutaki's doing. We're actually going to launch our torpedoes out. But that Furutaki's turning in. I'm going to fire off a full broadside of our 280mm guns. We only get one hit there. Nothing major there actually for us, but we're going to turn a little bit because the Miyogi's coming around. Now we have 280mm guns on board. We have some very big guns. We have the same guns as the Scharnhorst, sorry, the Gneisenau and the Nassau. These are very, very big guns indeed. A little bit far there. We're actually going to start turning this way a little bit. This guy's targeting us, so we don't really want to take a full broadside from them. Be really armed any second now. Fire off another salvo. We should get some good damage here if they hit. There we go. Lucky there. We got, I think, 5,000 damage with that salvo. And we've taken a little bit of damage, but not a huge amount there. Yeah, so the Deutschland class cruisers were a heavy cruiser, and they were what was coined by the British as a pocket battleship. Now, the pocket battleships had battleship caliber guns. Let's say the same guns as the Gneisenau. I think it was Gneisenau. I'm trying to think now off the top of my head, which I can't do greatly, so I'm just going to have to quickly jump on my phone. So I know it was the Nassau. The Scharnhorst, not Gneisenau, the Scharnhorst. That's the one. Big, heavy-duty guns, and this thing has 6 of them. Now, you also have your secondary guns, of course, and you can do some reasonably good damage with them. You have some relatively good anti-aircraft guns as well. You do have to worry about the dispersion, though. They're not the greatest guns for their dispersion. Completely missed and waffed that one because it was turning from those torpedoes. But you do have to watch out for the dispersion. Now, one of the things that the Scharnhorst and the Nassau have is more guns, of course. Well, not necessarily the Nassau, actually. The Nassau only has twin turreted guns, but still has more guns in general than you, but the Scharnhorst has a few more guns than you, of course, with those 283mm caliber guns, and they really do help because the dispersion's pretty lousy on these guns. Now, we might get some good hits on that Kuma there. It's showing broadside. Should have fired a little bit earlier, but we managed to get some nice hits in there. No citadels, unfortunately. We've got an Alba coming in there, and I just launched on that Fuso. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Luckily, though, we didn't do any damage to that Fuso. And we'll fire off on that Miyoko. Somebody else is going to get the kill. Bit of a brown trousers moment there for me. Luckily, we didn't do any damage to the Fuso, though. Pretty poor torpedoes by me. I actually didn't notice that Fuso coming around the corner. And we're going to get out of there. So, the Graf Spee. Now, she was involved in the Battle of the River Plate. And with the Battle of the River Plate, it was one of the bigger naval battles, especially in South America. The Ajax, Achilles, and Exeter. There we go, I actually remembered off the top of my head. So Ajax and Achilles, two Leander-class cruisers, and the Exeter, which was a York-class cruiser, finally caught up to the Graf Spee. Now, the Graf Spee opened fire on a British merchant ship, and just before she could get her salvo off, the merchant ship managed to send out radio details. There was a really nice feature on this ship. I don't know if we can actually get it in this view. I think we might have to look at it in the actual when we get back to port, but there's a really nice little Easter egg on this ship, so to say. But basically, the Graf Spee was found out, and with that, she was hunted, like so many of the merchant raiders. Now, the Graf Spee, with her captain Hans Lansdorff, was one of the more gentlemanly ships of the German fleet, and of course she was fighting back when the Kriegsmarine were less aggressive, so to say. There was less animosity and hatred between the two countries, and this helped immensely because she would generally, the Captain Lansdorff would pretty much do his best to keep the sailors safe, and he would often radio after they'd gained contact with the enemy. He would often radio ahead and just sort of let the Allied Navy know that there was nice hits there, over penetrations, but we will take them. But let the Allied fleets know that, you know, there was going to be lifeboats in the area, or one of their ships had been captured. They often actually didn't just sink ships; they would capture them as well, and force the enemy sailors to sail them back to a neutral port to scuttle them, things like that. They were very friendly in their attacks, you know, which is odd to say really, because you think in war people are not very, very nice. But try for that Kuma there. Now we've got some shots coming in from our right hand side, and we have that Minakaze there, and that's a dangerous target. The Ryojo has gone out quite far actually. Probably not the best idea to go out there. Yeah, we've got to deal with these guys pretty quickly. And we're going to want to get... I think we're going to fire at the Alba over there. And somebody's gone down. Now our secondaries are going to light this guy up. But we're going to have to watch out because that torpedoes are going to come off. Turn into them. We're going to take a couple of torpedoes here. We've popped our hydro. Use our heal as well. Now we'll set off a torpedo salvo. Now we're not going to do huge amounts of damage using our AP shells here. We're too close. We're just going to go straight through this guy's armour. But we managed to get a torpedo off. Fire off another shot over there. And not too bad. We've taken a fair bit of damage here though, and we don't really have much support out here, so I'm going to turn back and head to the Ranger. It looks like we've lost one of our support ships as well, unfortunately. So we have lost our healing support ship by the looks of it. Which is always frustrating because people, for some reason, people just don't get these destroyers. They just leave them and just let them send off their torpedoes and kill our, let them kill the ships. Now we should get some shots in there quite nicely. Yeah, not a huge amount of damage, but enough. And there's a enemy Ryojo over there. Now we should get a salvo off before we head behind the island. Reckon that will just be okay. But we have got the enemy battleships shooting at us right now. Plus we have that Minakaze firing HE at us too. So yeah, so the Graf Spee was not one of the worst ships to be hit by, in all honesty. Hans Landorf was one of the more friendly and nicer captains of the German fleet, and he would take great care of prisoners. When the oh god, this Ryojo is just sitting out there in the middle of this bloody, oh god. When he did capture prisoners, he would make sure they were okay. And in fact, at the Battle of the River Plate, when the Germans were under fire, I'm trying to judge that distance there. Hopefully they will hit. Now actually switch to HE here. Bugger all there for that Ryojo. And try and give this guy some anti-air support at least, but that's about all we can do right now. Okay, good. They've taken down the enemy Ryojo. Okay, so I'm going to start turning away. So yeah, back in the Battle of the River Plate, the actual German ship had quite a few British prisoners on board, well, Commonwealth prisoners on board. A little bit bad firing there by me. And they had to actually basically get the prisoners off the ship and keep them safe. He actually put the prisoners quite far below deck because they were taking a lot of fire, of course, from the enemy. Now we're going to switch to our AP right here, and we'll run our heal. So much so that Captain Lonsdorff was on deck, and he took quite a bit of shrapnel from the battle. And Might get some good penetrations there. Should have fired a little bit higher up. Taking a lot of damage right now, so we're going to hide behind this island. So yeah, Captain Lunsdorf really did protect the prisoners to his own, almost to his own detriment, and he really did take it seriously. And we're on fire again. And we're going to try and get around this island. One of the bad points of this ship is it is not the most manoeuvrable in the world. It really is a bit of a slug. Ooh, some big damage there. We've just taken a big old hit. Lucky not to take another big hit there. This fire should go out very, very shortly. We're not going to survive much longer. Really could use that heal right now, but we're not going to get it. We've got two ships aiming at us. So yeah, the captain was very, very good, and he refused to sail out of the port once they had entered the port. This is going to be our doom here, I think. Yep, we are down. So yeah, once Landorf had actually sailed into the port at Montevideo, he wouldn't sail out and risk the crew. So he made sure to keep them all alive, basically. He wouldn't just sail out into this suicide run that the German High Command were wishing for him. And he ended up scuttling the ship in the actual river, where some of the remains are still found. There was actually bits of the ship in... trying to think of the name of the place. I'm trying to think of the name of the place, but I can't. It's not Venezuela. Anyway, the place, which I'm sure you're going to comment in the comments below. Anyway, the ship was broken up in the river, and there are parts of the ship still remaining around those areas. Her sister ships, they fared a little better. The Deutschland, she did okay, didn't really do much in the war, but did offer some ground support, some basically firing at the ground. The Warspite there has just made this take a bit longer than it has to. Good job there, Warspite. But all in all, these pocket battleships were very, very handy, especially against merchants. At the Battle of the River Plate, she took something like 79 hits before she retreated, the Spey, that is, and dealt considerable damage to the Exeter, and I think it was the Ajax. Really quite a lot of damage caused to both of those ships. It was a very hard ship to crack, and if they had sailed these with some better support rather than sailing them as lone wolves, they could have really caused a lot more damage. So not the best game there by me, in all honesty. Just under 60,000 damage. Probably didn't finish too high on the team scores. No, we finished quite low on the team scores, as you can see. But sort of was supporting a fair bit there, which didn't help us. The battleships were quite far away from us, which didn't help. You really need those battleships to play the role of tanks in this mode. But we did manage to sink a ship at least, and we caused a fair amount of damage to everybody else. So not too bad, and we did make some good experience and credits from that as well. So 60,000 credits, not too bad at all. So let's just head back to port. And just before we go, we'll just talk a little bit about this ship in its service, and we'll also open up a loot crate. Might as well open up a loot crate while we're here. So the Graf Spee is a heavy cruiser. She has the highest hit points, I think, for this tier, for cruisers anyway. Very good hit point rating, 39,400 hit points. Decent armour as well, at least around the citadel. The main armour sections are not too great, but the guns and around the citadel, you have got some decent armour plating. So it's not the easiest ship to citadel, in all honesty. As you can see, the citadel is quite low to the waterline as well, so it does help quite a lot. Of course, if you are looping those shots over, you are going to cause a bit more damage to the citadel. As you can see, less armour, of course, on top of the decks. But all in all, pretty decent ability to take a bit of a hit. It has got the torpedo bulges and torpedo plating as well, so you can take some torpedo hits and not die as well, which is also very, very handy. The other good thing about the Graf Spee is you do get the heal, which really does help her out quite a lot. Switch off the armour view. So, artillery, we have the 283mm guns, and we have 6 of them, as I say. Decent range of, where am I, 16 kilometres. Decent velocity of the rounds as well. The AP work very well, and you can punch through most ships. Secondaries, we've got 105mm and also 150mm guns. 8 of the 150mm, as you can see here, and then 6 of the 105mm. These also double up as your anti-aircraft guns. Torpedoes, got an 8-kilometre range on the torpedoes. They're pretty decent torpedoes, general German torpedoes. They are at the back of the ship in 4 set loaders. So you will do a salvo of 4 torpedoes from the back of the ship, which is quite handy. AAA defense, pretty good on this ship. It's not the best, but it is decent. It will get you some plane kills. You do have defensive fire cooldown as well, so you can use that if you so wish. Not the most manoeuvrable and not the most concealed ship out there either. The concealment's a bit dire, in all honesty. Not the best at hiding. It is quite a big boat. It's small compared to a battleship, but relatively chunky compared to a cruiser. Modules. As I say, you've got hydroacoustics or defensive fire. You get a catapult fighter. The real-life Admiral Graf Spee used her Arado catapult plane to scout out to great advantage. Caught many many allied ship unaware with that. I think it was 9 ships in total were sunk by this boat. And of course you get the heal as well. So that's also very handy to have on board. Upgrades. I've just gone with the main armament modification, damage control, main battery modification 2. I was considering going for aiming system. I would probably advise the aiming system, in all honesty, because the guns traverse quite well. It does help having that less dispersion, so I probably would recommend aiming system over the main battery modification. And I've gone for steering gear just to help with that pretty average turning ability of this ship. Captain, I've only got a 7-point captain. Actually, my Nassau captain. Probably going to be going for inertia fuse shells for rank 4, just as something a little bit different. I'm going to test something out with it, but just general build. You can go for a sort of battleship build with this this option as well. It can work out quite well in that respect. It's quite a good little option if you sort of go more of a battleship build, because, well, it just works out quite well, because basically the Graf Spee is a pocket battleship. And just before we go, of course, the beautiful coats of arms on this ship as well. But we will just slide over, and a really nice little feature that I found on this ship. So just laid over one of the guns here, one of the spare gun barrels. So stop wireless or I open fire. And that was a flag and signal that the ship would fly to merchant ships. If they didn't send out a distress signal via the wireless, then they wouldn't get shot at. As I say, the captain of the Graf Spee, Hans Lorndorff, was one of the more gentlemanly captains of the war. So we've got a container, so let's open up one of those. We'll just try our luck, I think. See if we get a soup container. No, not today. Not today. But what have we got inside? What wonderful prize do we win? We've got some flags. We've got 4 November Foxtrot flags. Great. That's always useful. Ah, well. Can't complain too much at that. Okay, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a like. Let me know below what you thought. And I guess I will see you next time. Thank you so much, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.